I utilize it whenever I really need to say something and I don't really know how to say it. I sit here and I ground myself and I get out of my head and out of the stories that are jumbling inside of me and try to gain clarity. Does that make sense? And these are the things that people are able to harness through meditative practice. Now that we're sufficiently spelled out. Hi guys, my name's Brittani. Welcome to my channel if you've never been here before. I've been really wanting to make this video and I'm going to enact the help of one of my most powerful stones. This is one that was gifted to me a few months ago, and the type of stone that I've probably had the most transformative growth from. So if you're brand new to my channel, this is kind of what I talk about a lot, transformative growth and the practices that I utilize in order to transcend. This is transcending my own past, transcending things that I have overcome and had to bear witness to, be involved in circumstances that have happened in my life. And this spiritual uprising is on the rise. More and more people are becoming interested in the emotional wounds that maybe past trauma has inflicted on them and how it correlates to the person that they are now. Does that make sense? So every single thing that we have ever experienced in our lives, whether or not we remember it, has hold over who we are on an energetic level, sometimes a physical level, and just an all-around entity. And I really think that I haven't found my avenue for this yet on YouTube because this is something that's kind of weird. For a lot of people that aren't in tune with it, they could, roll their eyes and scoff at the idea of being connected with spirit. I'm just trying to navigate this path for myself because I'm still so new to it, but I'm starting to realize that I'm doing the thing that I do all the time, playing a character. That's just showing up here with my very Gemini personality, just like, hi guys, oh my god, I'm so excited to be here. It's like, yes, I am on the inside, yes, I am excited to be here. I am excited to be at the prospect of connecting with new people, but at the same time, recently I read this about my birth chart, so bear with me. And I hope that even though this doesn't necessarily have to do with you, that you're able to see where I'm coming from and gain a greater perspective on why this work is important, or at least be able to consider it. Did you see that fly? So recently I was on Gaia. If any of you have not heard of Gaia, it's kind of like Netflix for spiritual people. And a lot of times when I am on Netflix, I'm just not interested in any of the titles that are on there. Gaia has a lot of documentaries on like plant-based medicines and metaphysics and ancient civilizations and all things spiritual. For me, it's like Candyland. It's amazing. Recently I found this 17 episode series called Astrology 101, which I was so excited to see. I've taken astrology classes and astrology is something I'm super into. A lot of the elemental astrology foundation makes a lot of sense to me, and I would love to do a video on that. If you're interested, please comment below and let me know. Just going through these different topics, different aspects of our birth charts in these episodes, and they are explained so beautifully by these top master astrologers, people that have been doing it for over 40 years, and just really able to give a succinct answer to a lot of the questions that people have regarding astrology and whether or not it's viable. I was watching these episodes and something about it really made me want to look up an aspect of my own personal chart, which is that my ascendant or rising sign is in Cancer. And the rising or ascendant sign is Okay, imagine this, and if you want to, you can close your eyes to make it a little bit easier to envision. So the grid that's created whenever we are born, depending on our birth time, birth location, and birth date, the exact points that all of the planets were in the sky, and the ascendant or rising sign is configured by looking to the easternmost horizon, and that would be the zodiac that was ascending or rising up, like coming into the day. Does that make sense? And my ascendant sign is Cancer, which is a water sign. It's very internal. The key word for Cancer is nurturing, and I am one of the most nurturing people that I've ever met, and it's something that I've always very much identified with. And the rising sign as a characteristic is the mask that you wear. It's kind of people's first perception of you. It's the way that you choose to present yourself to the world. And also some people describe it as the window through which you perceive life. So for me, it's very important to nurture people because whenever I see them suffering, I want to help them. I want to, on the off balance of this aspect, it would be a fix-it person, a perfectionist, which I've also totally identified as. What I was able to figure out that night is rather than presenting myself in this very Gemini, very lively spirit, which is how I personally identify as my sun sign, my personality. However, the way that people may see me best is in this Cancer type of nurturing, calm regard. It makes me very comfortable to settle into a place where I feel very grounded and connected with myself so that I can harness the words somewhere jumbling inside of me that enable me to tell this story. Does that make sense? And that's something that has been so foreign to me for so long, but now that I'm becoming comfortable with it, and I feel like this is the next step, stepping into my next level of mastery. And even saying that out loud is so hard for me because as people in this society, sometimes having confidence in your abilities is something that's seen as gloating or a strand of the ego that craves stroking. You know, something that wants to be seen by other people and be like, oh yes, you're magnificent, you're fabulous. And that is just so not the place that I'm coming from. It feels so good because I used to be that personality that just wanted people to stroke my ego for sure. But coming from just this really, really humble place that wants to figure out how to best transcribe these lessons that I'm learning, because I feel like there are, although it's hard to grasp for some people that may not be on the inside of what this work looks like, I feel like there is an avenue for people that are inside of this work. People that believe in the healing power of crystals. By the way, I'm still holding this Super 7 stone, and I totally believe with every fiber of my being. I have had transformative growth with a stone like this before, and holding this, my fist is like reverberating right now with so much grounded energy. And I do believe that just sitting here and really intending on getting grounded and getting focused so that I can communicate these kind of hard topics on metaphysics and astrology and transformative growth, they're kind of difficult for me to find words for sometimes. I utilize it whenever I really, really need to say something and I don't really know how to say it. I sit here and I ground myself, and I get out of my head and out of the stories that are jumbling inside of me and try to gain clarity. Does that make sense? And these are the things that people are able to harness through meditative practice. That can look like a lot of different practices. There's meditation, crystal healing, there's oracle cards, whatever you look to for guidance. It could be the Bible, it could be prayer, it could be whatever connects you with that source. Whatever connects you with the source of deep inner knowing. I feel like so much of the practice of yoga, what it presents us with is unlearning and remembering. Does that make sense? So unlearning our programs, unlearning what society has told us that life is supposed to be about, and tuning back into that inner knowing that's inside of all of us. Sometimes don't you hear something that's just like, oh yeah, that's true. And it feels like a deep inner knowing, a deep inner remembering. When these practices speak little whispers of truth to me, That's what it is. It's that inner remembering. Like, oh yeah, I remember this. It feels good. I'm supposed to be walking in this path instead of worrying about what other people might be perceiving me as. Because people that are perceiving me in a negative way or judging me don't matter anyway. Oh yeah, I remember that. Because what does it do for you whenever you give in to the judgment of others? What does that do for you? Other than stifle your own growth and stifle your own creativity. Doesn't it feel so awful? Can you remember a time in your life, or even a time in grade school, whenever you acted a certain way because it felt right and you got ridiculed for it? And for some people, when they got ridiculed, either it gave them fire to do it more, or they completely backed into a corner and were just like, oh my God, don't look at me. And they were so embarrassed. And the latter is me. And my partner would be the opposite. My little Aries partner who doesn't ever care what anyone thinks about him. And he's just like forging his own path. He's the most grounded person I've ever met. And I think that's what attracted me to him. Because I was like, what is this creature? What is he about that he doesn't care what anyone ever thinks about him? Like, how is that possible? You know? And it's by tuning your awareness to how independently unique and different each of us are on the inside. And when we really start looking at all of these miraculous differences between each other, we just realize how connected we are, because we need the balance. We need the people that are super logical and practical and love math and love organizing and love logistics. And then we also need the intense creatives that, you know, these are what the elements give us. Air, fire, earth, and water. They each have such unique differences between them, and by slowing down and allowing ourselves the spaciousness to look around us and really, really consider the differences between us, nature is able to show us balance. Nature doesn't know fairness. Nature knows only balance and can teach us only lessons in balance and the process of nature and the process of balance, and how sometimes things don't make sense, but that's the nature of balance. And it's only when we're able to align ourselves and become comfortable with balance that we're able to transcend and grow. Because when we don't accept change and we choose resistance, there is no positive growth going on there. Although sometimes later in life we need to look back and realize that it taught us a great lesson, a lesson to not resist. Like, resistance doesn't do positive things, but you may be positively impacted by resisting change. Does that make sense? So it's kind of hard for me to talk about stuff like this because I know that I haven't found my avenue here on YouTube yet. So what I'm going to ask in my call to action is for each of you watching this that are this far into the video, I know that you're into this, and you know that you're into this. There's something, even if you don't understand everything that I'm saying, or you have a lot of questions, or it just sounds real crazy, something about you is interested in this. And it's only by connecting with people like you that I'm able to connect with other people. And if you've resonated with me on any level during this video, I'm going to ask you to please share this with anyone that you feel like has these types of interests as well. All of us are on a spiritual journey here. We are having a physical experience in a spiritual world. We are spirit. We are embodying this vessel in order to play this game that the world has going on around us, in order to elevate consciousness and enact more thoughtful ways of living, more mindful ways of living, being able to tune our awareness and see how elevated we can get in this life. I told my companion last week, I was like, I'm trying to see how magical this shit can get. Like, it's just so amazing. Whenever you really start coming into spiritual practices and you feel change happen in your heart and you start viewing the world and everything and everyone around you differently, and everything becomes easier, and it becomes easier to love and easier to laugh and easier to play, and all of those societal programs that keep us in confines of what's right and wrong and not good and good, and we let those things fall away because we realize that it's just a game and we don't have to play by those rules if we don't want to. Does that make sense? So this might be totally crazy for some people to hear, and for those people, I'm so psyched that you're even willing to listen to any of this right now. Please, if you have questions, comments, concerns, or want to see me expand on any other kinds of ideas, please leave me a comment below and let me know what is on your mind. What are you thinking of whenever you listen to words like this that are coming out of my mouth? Please make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. Thank you guys so much for letting me expand on this kind of crazy idea. I do realize that in this day and age, in our society especially, it is kind of fringe to be talking about stuff like this. A lot of people just kind of don't get it, and that's totally fine, but I really am trying to expand on these things that are very real in my life and share these stories in order to connect with other people who feel like they may be having similar experiences in their spiritual growth or transformative growth, or people that are curious about stuff like this, because it's a very interesting topic, and I really love sharing and communicating about it. So thank you guys so much, and until next time.